Hey guys, NCS Fan 001 here for another one of those weekly trophy list update videos. Today's date is Monday, April 6th, 2020. So this will have covered the week of March 30th through April 5th of 2020. So this was a very successful week with a big surprise being thrown in here with that old Modern Warfare 2 campaign remastered coming in out of absolutely nowhere. Platinum did in less than a week. I mean, it's not really a time-consuming platinum, but we'll talk more about that in a minute. So now we worked on 4 different games this week and actually made progress in these 4 games: RE2, Destiny 2, Black Ops 2, and Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. I want to say that we were going to work on Red Dead this week as well. Like, I found a new group for it, thankfully, just it didn't end up having a good time to work out for that, so unfortunately didn't quite get to work on that this week. But let's talk about the other games we did. So Resident Evil 2, I believe I already had the platinum as of... Oh, no, I didn't already have the platinum. Okay, I thought I already had unlocked it by the time of the last video. Okay. So, for this game, the trophies I had missing, I had to get the true ending, which is earned by completing either of the B scenarios. It's not too difficult. The B scenarios are shorter, though they're technically a little bit harder. Then you have all these easy trophies. Then you have this one, which I found out you actually have to look at a very specific film roll that you find down in the sewers before you go into the Umbrella base. So keep in mind that it's a very specific roll of film that you have to find and then use to locate 2 hidden items. The 2 hidden items are located, there's one up in the STARS office, and the other one is in the press room, sort of near where you enter at, especially in the B scenarios. So it's pretty easy, but just do note that that's a little bit different from what you might think. It's not just, look at any 2 rolls of film in a game. So then I read all the files. There are 58 of them, I believe, so there's quite a few collectibles in the game, approximately 58 files. The problem is that there are files exclusive to every individual scenario, so you can get a majority of them by completing either Leon or Claire A. That's where you're going to get most of them. But there are some exclusive to each Leon and Claire A, as well as B scenarios, so there are a few that are exclusive, so you are looking at a minimum of 4 playthroughs for this game. Though you can beat this game pretty quickly. Like, you can beat it in under an hour and a half, especially if you're using like the Infinite Rocket Launcher. I'll talk about that in a moment. The Mr. Raccoons, there's 15 of them. I want to say that there's some exclusive to both Leon A and Claire A, but then there's some that are exclusive to either B scenario. So you're going to want to combine these 2 trophies together just to work on them both at the same time. It's really not that big a deal. So then I got the S ranking on Leon's story, which requires you to complete the game in under a certain amount of time, depending on if you're playing on standard or hardcore. So this is not too difficult, and especially if you have the infinite ammo weapons, you can make this extremely easy. Same with the hardcore game modes. The hardcore runs are very easy as well if you're using the infinite items. They'd be a lot tougher without it, so this would be one of the hardest Resident Evil Platinums if you don't have the items, the infinite weapons DLC, because basically you can buy this DLC from the store. It's $5. It unlocks all the it's like a deluxe content type of thing. It unlocks all the infinite ammo weapons and also goes ahead and unlocks all the game modes for you. So that's kind of nice that it does all that, but really the only item you're going to need is the Infinite Rocket Launcher because it just absolutely destroys everything in its path. So that's definitely something that I would suggest doing if you want to make this platinum a whole lot easier and definitely save a lot of time, because having that will allow you to most likely combine one of your hardcore playthroughs with one of your S rankings and other playthroughs, so that's definitely a good thing. Once you learn the game, though, you can speedrun it very easily. You can speedrun the B scenarios in like an hour and 20 minutes with that set up, probably even faster if you really know what you're doing. Now, these 2 trophies, the guide on PSN Profiles, one of them at least, says you can combine this run. And I think that's very much true, but I didn't really want to do that because I just didn't have any confidence in my own ability to do so. So I ended up doing 2 separate runs for this on B scenarios. I did the Frugalist, I think I did first. That one's really... Yeah, I did Frugalist first. That one's really... It's not too hard as long as it's the only thing you're going for because you still have, the infinite ammo launcher and stuff. This one, without using the item box, this one can get just a little bit annoying because, you know, you can't put anything in the item box, so you constantly run out of inventory space, and you can't access your infinite ammo weapons, but you can play it on assisted, so it's really not that bad. And I had already completed Fourth Survivor, but I've talked about how this one is a bit of a pain to complete, but it's not terrible. It's certainly not the worst thing in the world. I'd put the base game at like a 3.5 out of 10 if you have the DLC weapons. Mostly because of the Fourth Survivor. If it wasn't for Fourth Survivor, it would be like a 2.5 out of 10, so that gives you a hint of how much it ups the difficulty. But it's not terrible. I mean, you can beat it in like 10 to 15 minutes. It only took me like an hour to an hour and a half to get of tries to get through it, so it's not terrible. So, Ghost Survivors, yep, that's the one. Yep, I already had that. So, Ghost Survivors. This is a real pain for this game. The Mr. Raccoons are easy because you have to complete the first 3 scenarios. You can complete them in training mode in order to unlock No Way Out. But those 3 scenarios are pretty easy on training mode, and that allows you to go ahead and get all the Mr. Raccoons out of the way, so nothing to worry about there. But then there's one Mr. Raccoon in No Way Out, which is pretty easy to get. I suggest just loading it up on training mode and just getting it out of the way real quick to get that done. So easy enough bronze trophy, but the silver trophy, this one is a doozy. This one is not fun at all because this scenario is horribly designed for Resident Evil 2 because it's effectively a horde mode, and Resident Evil 2 doesn't play in the way that's necessary for a horde mode, if that makes any sense. Like, if this mode was in Resident Evil 5 or 6, or even 4 probably, it would make a lot more sense and it would play a lot better. But putting this kind of a mode in, you know, Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 2, or Resident Evil 7 is just not a good idea because it doesn't play right. Because basically you're going to have huge waves of enemies coming in of varying kinds with very limited equipment and very limited movement space to deal with them. And I mean, that's not how the game was designed to be played, to be that much guns blazing, at least not without the infinite equipment. And so this scenario did take me quite a few tries to get through. It caused quite a bit of rage in me to get through, but I did eventually complete it. I mean, it's certainly not the worst thing in the world, but it's definitely harder than anything in the base game, especially if you're using the equipment. And I'd say it's probably going to be... I'd say if you aren't using the deluxe weapons, this is probably right up there with completing the game on hardcore. I would definitely say that this was harder for me than the Fourth Survivor, but other people will disagree with that. But I eventually got through it. It was, like I said, it was not a fun situation, but I eventually got through it. For one example of just how bad it was, I had full health, and I was down to I was at 95 kills, because you have to kill 100 enemies. So I was at 95, and I shot one of the fuel tanks at full health, and even when you have low health, shooting one near you doesn't usually kill you. For some reason, I just dropped dead from it at 99 kills. So yeah, that was not a pleasant experience. But thankfully, it's done. I mean, I love Resident Evil 2. This game was a lot of fun, but the Ghost Survivors mode, no, or specifically No Way Out. That scenario should not exist in this game. It absolutely should not. Does not play well at all with Resident Evil 2's gameplay at least. So, next up, Destiny 2. What did we get in Destiny 2? Why is this on the list? I beat a Forsaken Nightfall boss without knowing that I was going to be fighting a Forsaken Nightfall boss. So, I thought you had to do this in straight up Nightfall and that you couldn't do it in Nightfall the Ordeal, but I did it in the Ordeal for the week. And, you know, we beat it without too much trouble, and the trophy popped. It was a Nightfall that I didn't recognize. It's one I haven't done before. But hey, I mean, I got the trophy done. I'm very happy about that because that one can be done through matchmaking. So that was great. I'm very glad to have that trophy out of the way. So that's yet another one complete. So now there's only 2 trophies left, and this game is presumably not going to ever get another DLC. At least not with trophies because Shadowkeep didn't get anything. So presumably it's just going to be finish the last Wish raid at some point and complete the Triumph Seal, and that'll be it. So with the Triumph Seal, it's a lot of weapons grinding. I might look and see if there's a better Triumph to do, though. I'm going to look around and see what the best options are, because I'd just like to at least get that one done, because that's the most time-consuming trophy in the entire game by far. The raid, I don't know much about this raid. I actually need to watch some videos and stuff of how it's played, because I know nothing about it yet. But I can't imagine it's going to be too terribly difficult with a bunch of overpowered people that already know how to beat it. So I'm not too worried about that. You don't even have to beat it on like a high difficulty or without anyone dying or anything like that. So it's nothing too bad, I don't believe. So yeah, that's a little bit of progress in Destiny 2. I'm very happy about that. Now we have Black Ops 2. So of course we already had Revolution and Uprising done. Those two are not particularly hard. You can beat both of them in not... It doesn't take too long to beat them. They're both relatively easy maps to get the trophies on, even though Die Rise is not that fun or easy to play. So the only trophy progress I made in Black Ops 2 was a single trophy here in Vengeance. So this is the Buried map. So in Buried, be their pawn. This one is the Easter egg, and this one is annoying. Like, me and my group, we got to the final step, but we couldn't complete the sharpshooter, unfortunately. We got all the way there. Because the Easter egg isn't too bad until you get to sharpshooter, because if you're doing the Richtofen side, it's just build the guillotine, get the paralyzer, use the paralyzer on the 4 orbs around the map, knock down the lantern, charge the lantern, then then solve the cipher, get the wisp to the guillotine, go into infinity mode and find your body. Then I think then there's the levers in the maze, which we figured out eventually, and then of course it's that stupid sharpshooter step that's awful. So it's not a fun Easter egg to do when you get to the sharpshooter step. It's actually pretty challenging, so we didn't get it done yet, but we will eventually someday. And of course this one requires 4 people, by the way, which is just fantastic, because Mob can be done with 2, and Origins, I think, can actually be done solo if you're just really, really good at the game and know exactly what to do, though I wouldn't recommend doing that. But the trophy I got was this one right here, Mazed and Confused. So to get this trophy, you have to survive an entire round within the maze on round 20 or higher. And it looks like, did I get all these other trophies in like one day? Yeah, I did. Wow. So I got like all the other trophies the day the map came out or something. That's crazy. Or the first day I owned the map. Regardless, this trophy, I'm sort of surprised I didn't get it in the past, because it's not too difficult. Like, me and my partner got it because we got, you know, a maze layout where there's only one entrance. That's the big thing, is you have to have a maze layout with only one entrance if you want to be able to do it, because that makes it so much easier, because the zombies can only come from one direction. And, you know, like, one of us has the paralyzer, one of us has the, what's it called, the ray gun Mark II that got put in on the map, Pack-a-Punched. It wasn't really that hard. We got it on our first or second try, so it wasn't bad. I mean, it just takes a little bit of time to get to round 20, but it's not too bad. I'm far more worried about doing the Easter egg, even though it's only slightly rarer. And then, of course, there is Origins, which I know nothing about this map. Like, I know the first 3 maps very well at this point, as well as their Easter eggs, but I don't know really anything with Origins, which is kind of sad because it's regarded as one of the best maps. So of these trophies, I know that these 2 are pretty easy. Like, this one's kind of hard to miss with starting all the generators without allowing one to stop. That one's probably going to come naturally, and then this one's extremely easy. Just dig up a weapon and have someone else pick it up. And then riding the tank all the way around the map, surprisingly pretty rare, but not really difficult. But then comes all the other trophies. So of course you have the Easter egg, which is very long and very complicated. You have to free yourself and another from the Panzer Soldat's claw. I don't think this is that difficult, but I need to figure out how exactly you do it. Like, what you have to do, I'm assuming you just have to pump a lot of bullets into the Soldat, most likely. The Elemental Staffs isn't terrible, especially if you have 4 people and everyone just works on one staff. You can get it done relatively easily, and you just have to build all of them. Plus, you have to do this anyway for the Easter egg. And then you have to revive another player 4 different ways. I know that the reviving options are Standard Revive, Quick Revive, Zombie Blood, one of the Ultimate Staffs, and the Maxis Drone. So just 4 out of those 5. So it's just having another player that you can do that with. I'm surprised is that the rarest trophy in this? Wow, now that's really surprising, because that seems like one of the easier ones. This one you have to use Zombie Blood to revive 3 players and activate a generator. I don't know if it has to be 3 separate players or if it can be the same player 3 times. Hopefully it can be the same player 3 times if you're just trying to play with one other person or even just a second controller. The challenges, I think, can be a little annoying if you're not prepared for them, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. And then wielding all the ultimate staffs, it's not just that you have to build them and get them upgraded, but you have to actually wield all of them, which can take time and be kind of messy. So I don't know how long this map is going to take me to finish. Same with Buried, but hopefully I can be done with this and Red Dead by the end of April. I think I've got reliable groups now for both, so hopefully both will be possible to be done with by the end of April. That'll be 2 more solid PS3 games, finally 100% completed. So that's awesome. I do need to go look and see if there's going to be a group doing Poker Ace, because that's the other Red Dead trophy I need that I don't have a group for yet. I have people for the advanced co-op, but just not for that one. So I'm going to need to look for a session on PSN Profiles for that one. But hey, you know, a little bit of progress made in Black Ops 2. It's up to 90%. That's an A, at least in most schools, so that's a good thing. And finally, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered. Of course, this came out of absolutely nowhere, but it was a real thrill to play. It only took me 4 days to get the Platinum, as you can see here, so it's a very short Platinum. It takes like 20 hours probably to do. It's not too difficult, but I'll get more into the difficulty as we go through the list. So you get a bunch of trophies here just for completing the story on any difficulty. It's not a very long campaign. You can blast through a lot of the missions really quickly on Recruit, even though it is 18 total missions. Complete the game on Veteran, and all of these trophies are for completing said game on Veteran. Veteran in this game isn't terrible, but the enemies are more grenade happy, I guess, than I remembered them being. It's not like World at War levels, but it's definitely more than some of the modern Call of Duty games. For some reason, they just throw a lot more grenades, but it's still not really... Most of the missions are not that bad on Veteran. Like, I would say that the first 3 missions, so we can look through this list to mention them. SSDD doesn't even have difficulty options. Team Player is easy. Cliffhanger's easy. Hornet's Nest isn't bad. Hornet's Nest isn't too bad, but Takedown is one of the hardest missions. That's the one in the favela, just because the enemies come at you from like 50 different directions and 20 different elevations at once. So that one was that was probably one of the hardest missions, or the second hardest, or the hardest. Wolverines gave me more trouble than I expected during like one particular portion of it, trying to get back to the diner to get the Predator missile. I guess I just kept getting unlucky. Exodus really isn't too bad though, because that's the one where you have the Honey Badger, the BTR on your side. Only easy day was yesterday, and the Gulag really aren't too bad. Gulag, you get a riot shield. Only easy day, you don't have a whole lot of combat. Contingency's actually pretty easy, with the exception of the time section being potentially challenging, but it's not too bad. None of these missions of their own accord, Second Son and Whiskey Hotel, are particularly hard on Veteran, so those aren't too much to worry about, and a couple of those are extremely short, and I mean, Second Son barely has any combat. These missions, the Enemy of My Enemy actually ended up being a lot easier than I remembered it being, whereas Loose Ends, that one is very brutal. Loose Ends is the hardest mission in the game, in my opinion. And I will admit here, I used the Veteran glitch for Loose Ends because I was dying for like an hour straight in this mission, and I just was basically like, I did the favela mission legitimately, and then I got to this one and started dying for like a straight hour in this one. And it was just like, you know what, screw this, I'm just going to use the glitch. I did it on I did the game fully legit on the PS3. I can use the glitch here just to get through basically half of one mission, not even a full mission, pretty much just half of one. So the Veteran glitch in this game is basically get to a checkpoint near the end of the mission on any difficulty, save and quit, then go into Chapter Select, I believe it is. Yeah, go to Chapter Select, and on that, hit Veteran, and as soon as you hit Veteran, close the application, and when you go back in, hit Resume Game, and it should put you back at the checkpoint on Veteran now, and it'll count as Veteran. So that's very useful. These 2 missions are very easy, the last 2 missions in the game. So then you have your miscellaneous trophies. Some of these are returning from the original game. The pit course in 30 seconds is easy. The C4 without alerting anyone is easy. The 7 chickens, this one's a little harder, but it's not very difficult. This one's basically unmissable. This one's basically unmissable. This one's pretty tough to miss. This one's also pretty tough to miss. Like, most of these trophies are just really, like, quite easy for the single player, these miscellaneous ones. Like, this one is almost guaranteed to unlock on Cliffhanger. There's 45 enemy intel items, so you're going to need a collectible guide for probably a few of them, because there's a few that are pretty well hidden. But in this game, they actually made it so the intel does something. Like, the intel activates, like, cheats or gameplay modifiers and stuff, which is awesome. I am so glad that they made that change. Drive-by, this one, not a lot of people have it, but it's a little tough to miss in the final level. Like, I got in the final level on my first run of it. This one's pretty easy to get. Just kill 2 enemies in a row that are repelling from a helicopter. There's a number of places where you can do this. This one's easy if you plan for it, and you can do a number of these trophies in the museum. Is actually a good place to get a lot of them, because you can go up against so many enemies. Same as this one, like just using the akimbo weapons, because I felt like akimbo weapons were less common in the campaign this time around. This trophy was the last one I got, and it gave me more trouble because apparently assassinations, like whenever you get a cutscene when you're knifing someone, don't count for this, so you have to knife someone without getting a cutscene, so it's best to do in Cliffhanger. It's the only place I know of that you could get it that way. This one's very easy. You'll basically be guaranteed to get this at some point. Then you have the new trophies. This one's very easy. Just let the honey badger do all the work. This one's very easy. Just slide down the slope at the beginning instead of using the Predator missile. This one is awesome that they brought this in, but you can do it on recruits, so it's not too bad. Now, I did find out, though, you can't just kill off all but one of the enemies and then just kill the last enemy with the bell. You have to kill all of them once the bell's active, so they thought ahead. They thought ahead. The BX time is 19.7 seconds. This is a little bit difficult. Like, it was definitely, for me, harder than Modern Warfare Remastered from 2016's training course, because that one I've run so many times that getting it in under Infinity Ward's best time was really not difficult. Like, I got that one within probably 15 to 20 tries. This one took probably a solid hour of working at it. It's not, like, the hardest thing in the world, but it takes some time and some practice and a little bit of luck as to where the targets pop up at, but it's not terrible. So complete a mission without reloading or meleeing. I actually did this on no Russian because you get a light machine gun to start the mission and there's not much combat. This one you do on the pit, so you do it in the pit and you shoot Shepard in the pit. Very easy. I was correct on my assumptions. This is an annoying new trophy, not really because it's difficult, but because it's stressful and because it might be glitched as well. A lot of people report this one being glitched on them. I personally didn't have it glitch on me, thankfully, but a lot of people have reported it to be glitchy. And before you count yourself out of being able to do it, if you complete all the missions without dying or reloading a checkpoint, go back to the pit or the SSDD and complete the mission again, but this time only do the pit once, because supposedly restarting the pit counts as restarting a checkpoint for some reason. I don't know why, but it does. So do that first and then see if it still glitches on you. And then you might have to complete the final mission again afterward, but I don't know if that's true or not. So this one's pretty easy. Use RPGs to destroy the BTRs. You can do it on recruit. This one's easy as long as you use the claymores as an offensive weapon instead of as a defensive weapon. Plus there's more in the house. This one is a little bit trickier as well because there's only, I think, 10 helicopters and the Javelin can be kind of buggy with not hitting or not locking on sometimes. This one will take a few tries most likely, but I eventually got it. This one's very easy. Just take out a helicopter with a grenade. That's not too difficult. This one you have to shoot 3 hidden clowns in the training mission with a sniper rifle. Just follow a guide. And this one's very easy. Just hit a down enemy in the head with a grenade and have it kill them. So I would say that this game is like a 4 to a 5 out of 10 because I struggled with it more than I thought I would personally, but maybe it's just me misremembering the game and stuff like that. So I don't know, maybe it was just me, but I definitely had a little more trouble with it than I thought I would. Thankfully though, if you're really struggling with Veteran, you can use the Veteran glitch to get through the harder missions. Like I said, I only used it for loose ends and only because I spent like an hour trying it and it was just getting too frustrating and I just didn't feel like dealing with it that day. And then the Immortal Trophy, as long as it doesn't glitch on you, isn't too bad. It's just a little bit stressful and a little bit random because, you know, you might get hit by a random dog or a random grenade or something at one point or get run over by a car in Enemy of My Enemy, stuff like that. So, With that, level 72, 76%, 18,103 total trophies, 429 platinums, 2,427 golds, 4,754 silvers, 10,493 bronzes. So, plans for the upcoming week. With Modern Warfare 2 done, I definitely will continue my work on Red Dead and Black Ops 2. Those are the two main games that I want to be working on this coming couple of weeks just to try to get them done. I may also go ahead and jump back into Borderlands Game of the Year Edition, but not until I complain on the forums for Gearbox first, or send a complaint to the BBB about Mad Moxie's DLC not being functional, because it's a last-ditch effort to get it fixed before I decide to suffer through the 2 to 3 hour experience of each map. So definitely not looking forward to doing that again, but if it comes down to it, I'll eventually suck it up and do it the legitimate way, unless the game just completely refuses to ever let it happen. Otherwise, I might go ahead and pick up the Borderlands 3 Season Pass, because I think it's on sale, just to go ahead and get started on the DLCs, because the first two DLCs aren't too hard and they're both out. And it would give me a chance to go play some better Borderlands content than Mad Moxie. Fallout 76, the Wastelanders update, releases, I think, next week, so we will have to see if for some reason they decide to add in trophies. I don't think they will, given that, like, the Sheep Squatch and the Brewing update and none of that actually had trophies, but you never really know with Bethesda and how terrible things are with them, so you never really know. But hopefully we won't get any more DLC trophies. Also, I read that GTA 5 is doing a promotion during April. If you play any day in April, you get a free $500,000 deposited into your account. So do keep that in mind if you want a little bit extra GTA cash. So I think that's going to be it for this week's update, guys. This was a fairly long one. So I will see you guys to work on, Black Ops 2 and Red Dead and maybe Borderlands and all that other stuff this week. And see you guys this week for a couple streams and all the other good stuff.